begin the conversation. One of the major obligations of an employer to an employee is regular payments of entitlements. Failure of this will lead to constant industrial crisis. More than 9 months after President Bola Tinubu signed the new minimum wage of 70,000 naira into law, some states are yet to fulfill that obligation to their workers. As such, the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOLGE, through its president, Haruna Kankara, has raised concern that about 20 states have yet to implement the 70,000 naira new minimum wage for local government workers and primary school teachers. The states include Yobe, Gombe, Zamfara, Kaduna, Imo, Ebonyi, Cross River, the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Borno, and 11 others. Meanwhile, discharged corps members who recently completed the service year have been assured of getting the 77,000 naira monthly allowance recently approved by the federal government. The Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, gave this assurance during the Batch A 2025 pre-mobilization workshop for heads of corps members, producing institutions, and key stakeholders in Abuja. All right, BK, let's start this way. You know, there are two stories here. So let's start with the minimum wage. Why are the affected governors, foot dragging in implementing the new minimum wage, especially for local government workers? I mean, what could be responsible for this?
No, it's actually the non-payment that they are complaining about has to do with the local government.
Yes, the local
workers, teachers. Teachers are supposed to be employees of the local
governments. Yes.
So if, like we've seen now, most of these local governments have not implemented the minimum wage for all categories of local government workers.
Okay.
So that is their complaint, and states have a lot of latitude on local governments. I don't think a situation in which we can say, minimum wage, local government, go and sort out your workers. I don't think it's a desirable situation. As a matter of policy, governors must ensure that local government staff are paid and are paid promptly. So I'm happy that we are not talking about state government workers now. It's just
the local government.
So we've made progress from that time when people were concerned that workers will not be paid this minimum wage. So progress has been made. More states have committed to paying and are paying, but the concern now, the elephant in the room, is that local government workers are being left out, and some states have not even implemented the 30,000 minimum wage for local government workers. States like, since 2019, so states like Zamfara, Yobe, Taraba, Sokoto, Niger, Kogi, Kaduna, Imo, Gombe, Cross River, local government workers have not had the 2019 30,000 minimum wage implemented for workers and local government workers in those places. So it's sometimes I ask myself, how do people cope? Because even the minimum wage is not a lot of money. But we are hearing that even 2019 minimum wage has still not been implemented for some categories of workers in our country. I know that some states, even Zamfara, until recently, Zamfara had not even paid 2019 minimum wage of 30,000. But this government came, this new governor, and He interfaced with the workers and told them that, look, some of the dead woods in the service would have to go, that otherwise it would be difficult to pay and all that. So, and we saw areas where the resources of the state, was leaking, and now they are trying to address that. So many ghost workers in the system. I must admit that when we talk about ghost workers, a good number of those ghost workers are in the local government system. So, local government workers deserve a living wage, but the areas that need to be plugged must be plugged. Get dead woods out of the system, block the loopholes so that people don't continue to make money through the instrumentality of ghost workers. Because it's rampant across our country. Ghost workers are all over the place. So, clean up the system. Block those avenues through which people are stealing money from the system, and then move ahead to pay people the wages that they deserve. It is very, very important. I'm outraged that we are talking about non-implementation, not just of the new minimum wage. Yes.
2019.
Yes. 2019 minimum wage. We've seen the states that are even yet to pay that for local government and workers and teachers.
Exactly, GKB. Why should state governments, they are already enjoying the new minimum wage, but the local government workers are not enjoying, say? Do you see it as a mischievous here?
I will not go that far. I just think that from time immemorial, the local government has been I don't want to use the word dregs when it comes to government policies. Especially when it comes to primary school teachers and local government workers. Don't forget that those are the closest level of government employees to our people, to the grassroots.
Okay.
So most of the time, they take what they get. For example, somebody who's supposed to be a cleaner on the road, who's being paid minimum wage, have not been paid the minimum wage in years. So he still goes home with about 17,000, 15,000. Meanwhile, he's entitled under the law to get 70,000.
Exactly.
But most of the time, these people are just grateful to even get any job at all. Especially when it comes to the rural local governments.
Okay.
Where people really keep records of things that happen. I think politicians have used the opportunity of that laxity to oppress, if that's the word, people at that level. I wish I could do something about it at the federal level. Some of us were happy when the federal government decided that they are going to pay directly into the accounts of local governments. And we thought that Eureka has come for local government workers and primary school teachers. But it's obvious that there seems to be a lacuna between promises and doing exactly the same thing that were promised. So to me, that people are bringing this out now is the best thing to do, because if they keep quiet, people just assume everything is fine. If states are already paying the minimum wage for state workers, everybody just assume that everybody's getting the same across board. Meanwhile, this is not the case. That's why I'm glad that this came into the open, so that governors...
Now, who will fight for the local government workers?
Well, they have...
In fact, allocations have improved for the states.
Yeah.
So that's why I use the word mischievous.
Yeah.
This is not mischief.
I think, again, the problem is that the independence of the local government is basically on paper. They are still appendages of the state governments, one way or the other, that they cannot run away from. So that means that unless people like Journalists Hangout as a program and others of the same ilk decided to highlight this, they will just keep to suffer in silence. And that's why we need to do this more, to protect our people. And like I said, in the rural local governments, they are just happy to get a job. So some people are paid as little as 10,000.
Peanuts.
And they will take it and they will be grateful. Meanwhile, under the law, they are entitled to 70,000.
It's a law.
And don't forget, even with that, some of them will still be ghost workers. So people will still be going home with a figure that is far beyond what is on record. For example, if you have a department of, let's say, 200 cleaners, and they are getting 10,000, that's just about 200,000 per month. But I'm telling you that the 200 cleaners, those who are working, who you can verify, will not be more than 10. About 100 of them will be ghost workers.
Okay, all right. Wait, hold on, please. We have Abdullah calling from Lokoja. Abdullah, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Abdullah.
Okay. All right.
No, when President Buhari decided to give bailouts to states,
okay,
Kogi and Osun State had the highest amount of money paid to them as bailout.
Okay.
A good chunk of what was paid to Kogi was to pay outstanding salaries of local government workers. So this tradition, ignoble tradition of neglecting local government workers, neglecting teachers, has been there for so long. So if the biggest chunk of money received was meant to pay the arrears of local government workers, that should tell you that for so long, that category of workers was treated like they did not exist. They were owed for so long. So history is repeating itself.
Exactly.
And I think that the treatment being given teachers, teachers in public schools, the treatment being given local government workers has to stop.
It has to stop. All right, let's look at the part 2 of this story, the NYSC, because the NYSC DG is saying that the 77,000 minimum wage arrears will be paid to the discharged corps members. Yes, good news, but Biko, how assuring is this for the discharged corps members?
He said that once they get the cash backing, because the truth is, the effort to ensure that the minimum wage was paid to workers had been on. What some Nigerians did not realize was that, okay, that minimum wage came and they needed cash backing.
Sure.
So without the cash backing, because it was done after the budget had been passed, so they must find money
somewhere else,
to be able to pay. So now money has been appropriated, but it didn't come in good time.
Okay.
That's why they couldn't pay before now. But money has been appropriated now for them to pay workers, corps members immediately. But they've also asked for money to pay those who had been discharged, but actually were captured.
Okay, when the promise was
when the promise was made, when the minimum wage was improved. So it's a good thing. They have their bank accounts according to the the new NYCDG. They have their bank accounts, so it's not difficult to get the money across to them.
Okay. All right, we have John calling from Abuja. John, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening to
you. Good evening.
Good evening to my mentor, BKO.
I agree to you, John.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
I want to contribute to the matter that we are discussing about.
Yes.
That is the minimum wage of 70,000. It's unfortunate that local governments have not received. It's quite unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I still also want to draw your attention that even the federal government, there are people that have not received the new minimum wage. There are agencies, there are parastatals that as we speak now, they have not been paid the new minimum wage.
Wow.
So we don't really know what is really happening. If the big federal government allow some people have not received, then more or less the local government. So I don't know what is your contribution to this issue. Thank you very much.
Yes, we even heard that even the FCT, the teachers had to go on strike. They protested. and all that. We expect a lot better from the FCT. The FCT is rich. In terms of internally generated revenue, the FCT is up there. You know, up there much better than
most states.
Than an overwhelming majority of Nigerian states. Outside of Lagos and Rivers, there is no state in Nigeria that can say that it can get internally generated revenue more than the FCT.
So they have no excuse.
I doubt even if Rivers is doing better than them currently. So there's no reason. You must pay people a living wage. And what we are even talking about here is not a living wage. It's just something to say, okay,
exactly.
We'll get there one day. And if you fail to pay, then it is, I mean, you have no reason. As much as you are building roads, building bridges and all that, you must also take care of workers.
The human resources. The
human resources is something that you cannot brush aside. Now, so the minister has to do something about this. It's shameful to hear that FCT
is part of the list.
FCT is listed in some of this.
Because you've talked about the issue of ghost workers for local. What can be done in that regard? Who should be responsible for eliminating these ghost workers?
No, of course, the state government.
The state government?
Yes, they can conduct biometric-based
biometric exercise,
assessment of their they can verify the actual number of staff that they have. There are various ways by which they can do it. Various ways, and we've seen some states even doing that. And every time states did it, we saw clearly that a lot of people were on the payroll who did not deserve to do not deserve to be there. You know, you saw the last exercise by Zamfara State. It was shameful. A lot of money just going to thieves.
Should they be punished for that?
Who?
If they are caught?
Of course.
No, ghost workers. Some people in the bureaucracy are the ones who sit down
to input the names.
Fake names and all that. In some cases, a 6-year-old boy will be drawing salary.
Or somebody who's been dead for years.
Yes. Wow. A 6-year-old boy will be drawing salary. But what it means is that once it's time to pay salaries, once it's payday, somebody else will be taking that money. And there are so many people like that, especially in the local government.
It's a large-scale scam.
Yes, and when Kogi State did its own biometrics-based assessment, they discovered a lot of ghost workers. I was during Abelo's time, you know. It can be painful when this exercise is implemented, but it is a necessity.
It is a necessity.
Because a lot of people are stealing from the system.
Absolutely.
And through the ghost worker syndrome.
It's